Boy, is New York City out of control, at least at NYU's main campus. The chief of police and his officers had to run away from the crowd. They were hit with bottles and furniture to save themselves. It is that out of control right now. I was shocked at the video I watched out of New York City. An NYPD chief was swarmed by anti-Israel protesters and had to seek shelter with his small group of other police officers at New York University, where protesters swarmed and tried to beat them. These are the cops who didn't pull their guns, calling them effing fascists. After one protester was arrested, the crowd went crazy. And when you look at Chief James McCarthy and his officers being chased by protesters, and the cops are running away, they're screaming at them at the New York University Center outside the Catholic Center building, and they're chanting F you, they're saying the words, F you pigs, on and on and on, trapping the cops. They had to be rescued by other officers. I'm amazed. Over 100 arrests, there could have been 1,000, and they are demanding divestment from any money going to Israel, any alliance with Israel, any academic relationships with Israel. They hit the cops with bottles. They hit them with furniture. One cop was hit with a chair, actually hit in the head. It is really, really violent, and I don't understand. Mayor Adams has worked hard to show his support for America. He personally helped tear down a Palestinian flag and put the American flag back up. But at the same time, the cops are not being set loose to restore law and order. This reminds me a lot of Black Lives Matter, the Summer of Love, where the cops just stood down and watched America get burned.
Yeah, it does remind me of that as well. The images on our TV screens of the wanton violence that these little punks on these university campuses feel entitled to inflict on not just anymore fellow Jewish students, but on police. I think that emboldens others on other campuses because we're seeing these kinds of increasingly violent activities proliferating across the country on campuses everywhere. I really think that this year, a presidential election year, parties, Democrat Party, Republican Party, conventions coming up this summer, I think we're going to see a lot more of this chaos and violence unless somebody steps up and puts a stop to it and says no more.
Well, you know, that's interesting because in a couple cases, and I'm thinking of Texas and Florida, the governors aren't taking it. They're sending the troops in, and these encampments are gone in 30 and 45 seconds, literally. They push the kids out. They arrest the ones that protest. The tents are thrown in dumpsters. The flags are taken down. They're what they call their barricades to protect themselves are thrown in dumpsters. And in half an hour, it's like nothing ever happened except there's a cleanup.
Yeah.
But in New York, they have to negotiate. At Harvard, they have to negotiate. At Michigan, they have to negotiate. Same at USC and UCLA. I don't get it. Are the administration in that much support of the terrorists?
Afraid so, honestly. And this does harken back very much so to the summer of 2020, the summer of love, remember? We have the examples of these governors who stood firm. We know how to do this, that the governors of other states, the mayors of other cities are not following that example of Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, Governor Greg Abbott in Texas, that they are not following their example can only, to me, indicate they sympathize with the brats, terrorist little brats.
I'm to the point where I agree with you. It's past the kumbaya kind of protests, and they're about destroying the American way of life, and it is an attack on our republic. And if we are to survive, we have to protect it.
I will jump in with one last note, and that is that it does appear in a number of these places, certain college campuses, that among these rioters are people from outside the university, the college. There are infiltrators coming in, provocateurs coming in. I expect they would be from Antifa, whatever might be left or reconstituted of BLM. But it's not only the students, it is now professional and apparently professionally trained provocateurs.
Yeah, we're going to do that in another show, but there's a tremendous amount of evidence. Exactly what you're saying. These are people who professionally go from place to place. They're very well paid. They're very well trained. They are not students at Harvard or Rutgers or any of these schools that are having the encampments taking over Michigan, Chicago, USC, UCLA, and so on. They are professional rioters, and they are very well organized, very well paid, which is how the encampments all have nice matching green tents, and they all have matching keffiyehs to wear, and they have the beautiful Palestinian flags that are identical with the flagpoles. They show up with a truck, and it's like Disneyland. Hi, rioters, get your stuff. It's all right here.
Yeah, that does look like what's happening. Absolutely. Somebody's got to track these funding streams down. We talked about that a little bit before. A lot of that is coming from outside the campuses, yes.